Teach Talks, a thought leadership forum dedicated to experts from the education industry. Every episode of Teach Talks brings in fresh perspective from eminent educationists across the globe on how they are revolutionizing and shaping the future of education. So grab your coffee cups and stay tuned in to get their hard-won insights, their lessons, their challenges, their sob stories. And if you are someone from Bangalore and have studied here, today you may be in for a pleasant surprise to find your role models, mentors, and inspirations of lifetime right here on the show. So fasten your seatbelts as we get started with the 4th edition of Teach Talks. To start with, I would like to call upon Payut Jain, our co-founder and CTO, right here on the stage. Hi, Payuj. Good evening.
Hey, Peter. Hi.
So, Payuj, industries are buzzed with digitalization. Today, everybody's talking about how do we digitalize and how can we leverage technology. In fact, very recently, G20 also acknowledged transformative potential of education digitalization. NEP has also rolled out a lot of interventions where they're promoting ed-infra solutions. Given that Teachmint is a leading provider of ed-infra solutions with a mission to expand the potential of education, at this point of time, what is Teachmint gunning for?
First of all, it's with great pleasure I would like to welcome everyone to Teach Talks. At Teachmint, we are aiming towards creating digital infrastructure for education. And we are focusing towards K-12 schools because that is the base for any education, for any country to have a great outcome for their economy, right? So what does digital infrastructure means? It means that right from the administration side to the classroom digitalization, to learning outcomes, to teaching outcomes, everything, how technology can enable everything and can bring in better outcomes for schools. So that's where Teachmint plays itself. Be it operational efficiencies, be it classroom digitization, be it school or student performances, be it upskilling for principals and teachers, we are all there. And we want to solve everything for schools. So yeah, in simple words, I would like to say that.
Great. Thank you so much for this insight. Very, very interesting and exciting times ahead for Teachmint. Thank you so much, Payuj. So exciting times ahead for all of us at Teachmint, and all the more today because we have some eminent educationists from across the city, one of the best schools over here. And join me to welcome, as I call upon, Mrs. Vidya Guruprasad, Principal of Rhine International School, Whitefields. A dedicated educator committed to empowering students, nurturing innovative thinking, not only in students, but in our teachers also. Ma'am comes with 18 years of rich experience, and ma'am, we are thrilled to have you here. A big round of applause for Mrs. Vidya Guruprasad. Moving on next is Mrs. Manjusha Tripathi, the principal of Sri Ram Global. Ma'am is a passionate educationist with 22 years of rich experience. She embraces new technologies to achieve perfection and excellence. Great to have you here, ma'am. We are excited to have Mr. Balu Pandian, the chairman of Brookfield High School. Mr. Balu brings along 20 years of corporate management expertise. With a strong commitment to quality education, Mr. Pandian transitioned in the education sector and founded the Brookfield High School. Excited to have you on board. Mrs. Shobna Dhamija, the principal at One World International School. Ma'am brings along 20 years of expertise from diverse nationalities and cultures. Ma'am has played a crucial role at the current school as a founding teacher and a coordinator. Her commitment to holistic education and diverse education setting enables her to foster an enriching and supportive learning environment for her students. Ma'am, we are elated to have you here. Calling upon next, Mrs. Usha Iyer, Managing Director of the Green School. Ma'am has been on multiple school boards and is a highly sought after education consultant. Ma'am has to her credit setting up National Public School, JP branch in Bangalore, and the Bangalore School. Ma'am is passionate about progressive and sustainable curriculum. Honored to have you here, ma'am. And my name is Preeta Saxena. I'm the HR director at Teachmint, and I'm the moderator of this show. So a warm welcome once again to the 4th edition of Teach Talks. Very, very excited to have very eminent educationists from the city in this forum today. One of the things that we've been discussing is that the integration of technology in education has revolutionized the way students are learning things, the way the schools and the educators are looking at the entire curriculum, and the way parents' expectations are. Apart from the normal education, what we also see is there is a need to look into other aspects like training, sustainability, collaboration. As we spoke earlier, I saw that all of you are doing commendable job in these fields. So let's get started with the talk show. I would request all of you to please have your mics. And dear viewers, I would request you as a final reminder to grab your cup of coffee or refill because the chatter and the banter on the talk show is about to begin. So my first question to Mrs. Vidya Guruprasad. Ma'am, the need of the hour is to put an end to the learning crisis. It is seen that the teachers who are responsible for creating lifelong learners, what happens is at some point of time they need to take a break. Probably, you can elaborate on that, and then upgrade themselves. This need became glaring, especially during the pandemic. I would like to understand from you, what interventions are you doing for the teachers' training?
I firmly believe what you said is right. Teachers have evolved, yes, during this pandemic. And no doubt, I'm sure all the educationists here would agree, this evolution among the teachers community has brought in high regard for the teachers among the students as well. So they are at a competent level where they need to keep themselves upgraded at the level of students to maintain that regard as well. Well, at our institution, we have collaborative teachers communities where we use technology in various aspects to develop content, curriculum, feedback system, and most of the times their development, certification, upgradations.
Great.
And that has, this kind of a collaborative community has really helped them a lot to learn from the other members of the community.
Awesome.
And that's basically happened because of the inclusion of technology. We earlier were not equipped with all this, and that's giving a good break as well as a good upgradation to the teachers community. Well, with the inclusion of technology, we know that there have been informal changes, elements of changes, as well as formal elements of changes. When we talk about the informal, there is better networking, and there is a change in mindset. And when I talk about the formal changes, formal elements of changes, better and a synchronized system and process. There's a more of better synchronization in the systems and processes. And that's benefited the teachers a lot. And of course, a 360-degree feedback system, which we used to talk about, is into practice now. And that's for sure making the teachers more efficient at their work. From our yesteryears, we have been listening to eminent educationists and prominent literary laureates that education is probably a process of manifestation of what's innate in a child, right? I mean, bringing out or drawing the best, which is already there. And now the teacher's role is more of a facilitator.
That's right.
And that's what they, I mean, all the resources and all the data and knowledge and information, everything is available. So how do you segregate? How does the student segregate it? That's what the teacher has to be empowered with now, right? More than the knowledge.
Awesome.
And I believe technology is helping us in this. And there are a lot of systems and platforms available within our group now, where teachers have been enabled to work on these aspects.
All right. That's great. I think you've actually hit upon a very, very important part, that's peer learning. I think when you make a community and they start collaborating, peer learning takes the learning to the next level. I think excellent to hear that. This reminds me of one of my previous conversations with Mrs. Usha Iyer. We were talking about thinking out of the box, and we were thinking about designing interventions. And you have been someone who did not wait for NEP or G20 to roll out the guidelines to start sustainable curriculum, sustainability in curriculum. And you've been already at it since the beginning. Why don't you share your interventions with the viewers?
A very good evening to one and all who are listening to us. And it's a wonderful platform, Teach Talks, that we are brainstorming on a lot of different aspects and different topics. And sustainability is very close to my heart. And this went way back in 2017 when in Bangalore School, we just started the reuse, recycle and reject and rainwater harvesting. And we're talking about organic farming and making organic manure. So we thought sustainability is only that. But then when we got an award from New York, from the United Nations General Assembly, and mentored by the Green Mentors from Gujarat, we realized that sustainability is not only sustaining for yourself, but also sustainability to create for future generations.
That's right.
And sustainability doesn't mean only these, which is talking about green, but green in every way. And that's why I wanted to open the Green School Bangalore in 2019. The concept was conceptualized in 2018 when we thought about zero energy, zero carbon, and zero waste school. And this was such a close thing, close to my heart, because I wanted children to do farming. Sustainability also means like where you can grow and where you can also sustain others as well, and where we can also mix and match the agroeconomics and financial economics. So we talked about green cafeteria, where children can intern, and that's where we can talk about another sustainability. We're talking about financial economics, where children will learn money management, which was all practicalized, and that's why the Green School Bangalore came up into picture. And if you see even infrastructure, that's where the green is all about, where the materials also, what we use is all green. So what are we trying to create for future generation is the parallel energy or the parallel source of the fuels which they are learning there. So we thought if we are going to put the children in the real life situation, so don't you think so, right from the transport, right from the infrastructure, right from the kind of the environment, everything has to be sustainable. And that's where we're trying to work with the SDG goals of 2030. And we're working on, right now my children are working on pure water project. And we already have worked on 4 SDG goals, and this is the SDG goal which we're working this year, is on the pure water. So what are we trying to do there is convert the water from the moisture into drinking water. And we also, try to partner with few people who are doing this so that we can give that to children. So when children are seeing that, and probably they're also thinking how to do lake resurrection and other projects, and we talk about, the kind of the project where children are working in the environment and in the community is what we are looking at. So one hand, they're looking at farming, and they're doing hydroponic farming. It's not an ordinary farming, where they're growing a lot of vegetables organically, selling that. And apart from that, also working on the social impact projects. Awesome. So these are the few things which actually leads to the thing. And of course, being a STEAM school, technology plays also a part of it, where science, technology, engineering, art and mathematics, and our children are working on design thinking. Great. So everything is going towards the green, and children are learning in the green environment.
That's lovely to hear. In fact, I've been personally to your campus, and I was really very, very impressed to see children outside doing farming in their own little way.
Yes.
Thank you so much. Great to hear that. And as I was talking to Mr. Balu Pandian in one of my earlier conversations, you are very, very passionate about skill development. This is something that doesn't happen in the classrooms. And when I see children outside doing something which is unstructured, I think that's the time they learn the best. You have been someone extremely passionate about skill development. You clearly said that, yeah, your teachers are managing the education bit, but you take the responsibility of skill development. Would you like to elaborate that for us?
Sure. Good evening, and thank you for having all of us here. Skill development is essentially when the way I see school, the college and university, I see it as the talent pool supply chain for the economy. With my background in the corporate world for the last 23 years, it's been an eye-opener to see that children can benefit tremendously from skill development, but there isn't a structured program as such in schools. It depends on each school's in personal and private initiative to develop their kids the way they want to. So what we have done in our school is to put together a formal program. Academics is crucial and critical so that the children are academically inclined and are up to date with their education.
Absolutely.
But if they do not have skill sets, then their competence and their skill set and their contribution to the economy gets hampered, because then they have a lot of theory, but how do you translate that theory into kinetic energy and practical knowledge and execution skills?
Correct.
That is what industry is all about. They want to know, okay, you have learnt and qualified yourself. How do you translate all that learning into problem solving for industry?
That's the need of the
That's
hour.
the need of the hour.
Right.
And these skills, some of them require 10 to 12 years to develop. Let's take communication skills. We have elocution from nursery class. So initially we started it at around 5th and 6th grade and found that children had already learned stage fear. So in kindergarten, as a play activity, they found that they took it as a play activity. They had not learned stage fear. So then it was very easy for them to take this up as a play activity and continue right up till the 10th grade. The content and the subject matter changed with the classes, so that the subjects became more and more serious, more outward looking, like ma'am talked about the SDG goals of the United Nations. That's a key topic now here, because we are celebrating Environment Month now this year,
Right.
in the month of June. So there is a lot of outward looking, problem solving, communication skills is one. The next most crucial thing is teamwork. Now everyone expects employees to work as teams in the corporate world. But
I couldn't agree more with you on
in
that.
the school, college and university, it's all about I, me, myself and my report card.
That's right.
So how do I as a student start thinking about teamwork? Because no one rewards you for teamwork in schools. So we had to develop science projects that were team oriented, that were working models. They had to develop it in school. None of these projects could be taken home, which means that the parents would be bothered. So we took these projects on in school, and these were live projects. Let's take a simple example of a biogas plant. If you don't know fermentation, you won't know how to get this biogas plant working.
Right.
If you didn't know the basic elements of circuitry, you won't get a light bulb moving or a lift moving with your levers and pulleys. So they had to actually solve these problems. They worked with soldering irons, they worked with hot glue guns, they worked with batteries. They actually discovered that batteries had a negative and a positive terminal, because they were actually touching, feeling and seeing this. It was not just textbook work. So that is where you worked with other teams, and if you didn't work with other teams, the project didn't materialize, and you were responsible as a student to explain these projects to parents who were coming in on exhibition day. So you were under tremendous pressure to perform, and you had a deadline. So the concept of a deadline was very, very useful for the group as a whole. So group learning, communication skills, problem solving skills, teamwork, etc. are skills which are actually embedded into the curriculum, and that's how it works in our school.
I think that's the need of the hour, and I'm so thankful to you that you are churning out and you are putting in efforts towards that. Today, how the entire revolution has happened, the digital revolution, that's the need of the hour. We don't want to have people who are just thinking like that. We want to have agility, and I think that teamwork, collaboration inculcates that. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
I also have one question for Mrs. Manjusha Tripathi. We were talking in our previous conversations about getting children back to school after COVID. And there were a lot of challenges that we faced, right? There was a time, there was an overdose of technology per se for the kids. But as a sound teacher, as an admin, as a parent, what is required is the right dose of technology to the kids, to the young minds. How do we strike balance between offline and online? When I happened to come to your school, I saw that there were a lot of interventions you were proudly displaying. They were on the boards, children were outside. Would you like to share some interventions, what you do in the school?
Good evening, everyone. It's a privilege to be a part of this Teach Talk. And thanks to Teachmint group to call us. And really, this is a required topic which need to be discussed. So after COVID, during COVID, I think everyone was a part of the struggle. It was really the time where we were thinking ki when we will be back to normal life. Normal life was really a desired thing which everyone want to be at that time. So when the school reopened and we were trying to call students, so parents have the very important thing is that are you following the COVID norms or not? That all we have to send them as a circular, and we are sending the videos also, the school classes and all. So slowly the start was there, slowly they were interacting, started interacting with the teachers. So what we planned at that time, we should start with some activity, physical activity, by which they should be aware of actually what was much required by the students or their kids that time.
Correct.
So the thing is that we planned for, because the school started in April, and in the month of April we have Earth's Day. So we celebrated Earth's Day. We invite parents and kids for the plantation and just share their things with that, because everyone still was in the mental trauma of the COVID. But slowly, yeah, it was an interaction. It was a wonderful day for us. They were participated in big number. And this way we at least try to connect the parents with the teachers and the kids. And the next month, June, Father's Day is coming. So last year also we have done Father's Day celebration. So Father's Day celebration was the full family participation, and the major emotional moment was that we have done Pada Puja. So during Pada Puja was the moment where I got the goosebumps when I was remembering that time when children were doing Pada Puja for their parents and both were crying. It was so emotional moment that now that means the time when they want to share their feelings, maybe due to, when everyone was in the room, maybe we have, as in Bangalore, we have flat system, apartment system. In that small apartments, when the full family was there, that mental trauma, maybe the child was suffering, maybe family fights, or maybe the kids fight, whatever. So that trauma, it was really the time where we have to work together as a team to bring them out back to the normal life. So that Father's Day incident was really, and after some time, after Pada Puja, they just forget all the things and everyone was on stage, and it was a memorable day still. So many activities we have done with the same to try them to bring back to the normal life, and yes, their participation, I'm really thankful to parents. So they realized also that how to, we were work together as a team, and they were really very supportive. And kids were also now, we can see that there is a change now. Everyone is understanding the normal life requirement and how to proceed. So technology, because during the COVID time, exams, study, everything was happening through online classes. So slowly it comes to hybrid mode, and now normal life start. So now they are enjoying in the school with full flesh, all the assemblies, everything is happen, yoga, physical activity, and they are participating in all the things. So now the requirement is that connection is required.
Correct.
If a teacher is connected with a student, with their eyes only, with their face only, they can identify what's the pain today, why child doesn't want to come to school, and why he's dull in the class. If that connection is there, so first what we are trying to give to our student as the teacher is entering in the class, first 5 minutes, they always give the time to connect with the student. They have to see the child is in the mental state to learn or not. That is a very important thing to understand. And slowly we will inculcate these things with all the environment. I hope everyone will be a good learner. And
Sure.
we are also learning.
in
So
the
that is-
process.
thank
That's
you.
right. So ma'am, thank you so much. I mean, it's great to hear that you got the parents and children back to school. In fact, because of too much of gadgets, we saw that there was a divide. People were into their separate rooms. Thank you so much for doing that, and the feedback that I've been hearing has been great. Great. I will also have, this also highlights that when you use the technology the right way, it also opens up the doors for collaboration. And that's exactly one of the motives at Teachmint, that your operational and mundane tasks are taken away and they free up the bandwidth for you to take on things that machine cannot do. That also reminds me of my interesting conversation with Mrs. Shobna Dhamija. Ma'am, you were talking about the need for collaboration. You were talking about there has to be a constant exchange between learners and the teachers. And you've done some wonderful initiatives around that. Would you like to elaborate that?
I think, Preeta, the hardest thing is going in the last, because most of the points are covered by my fellow panelists. Thank you very much, Teachmint. I'm happy to be here and making a diverse group of, our community, and your, the faculty or the employees here. It's wonderful to watch them, and some of the things we do in school I found in your campus, so it's
Wonderful.
a lovely walkthrough. Talking about, I was going through the visuals which you have used as a creative for this Teach Talk. I saw the 3 words which caught my attention: explore, evolve, and embrace.
That's right.
So I'll start from where ma'am was talking about. Pre-pandemic, we were, as a school, as a progressive school, we were exploring the technology on giving, for example, 4 days math is happening in the classroom. We thought, okay, 5th day, let's give them to some online learning adaptive platform where a child can learn and learn at its own pace, like personalized learning environment. Came the pandemic. During the pandemic, we started exploring the technology on the drop of hat. Overnight, teachers were collaborating on how to ensure continuity of learning so that no one is left behind. And we started overnight learning, collaborating through Google Drives or many other virtual learning modes. Collaboration was the key factor, how 2 years of pandemic we run the school successfully. And then coming as embracing the technology post-pandemic, where there is no choice. We were all tasted that flavor of technology, and we cannot keep the tech and the learning away from each other. So coming back to the normal offline schooling, where we continue to collaborate, the teachers, and then it enhanced the user experience, which is for student to improve the learning outcome. During the pandemic, I remember we thought, is it the right thing to give children assessment? Because we were not, what do we assess them on? There was a total stark difference. So we ask our learners, what do you like to be tested upon? And I think we essentially come up with only one question, which is, what did I learn this year? And present whatever you know about it. Children took up this as a challenge. Teachers trained them on how to make a PowerPoint, how to make a website, and everything what they have done in that year. Single question they reflected upon. What did I learn? They were in enthusiasm, in the ownership that I have to put what I have learned, and without anything, we saw the websites from as young as 8-year-old to all the way till 17-year-old. This is how the assessment was done during the pandemic. Now, children with all that, we continue to have this kind of a e-assessment for our older grades. They are given a lot of within the school group learning environment, because IB, the school which we have, it's an IB school. It's backward by design but forward by process. So a lot of where the child will end up into. So group learning, like Sir said, the environment where children collaborate to get ready for future. And with that, not just technology, but a lot of face-to-face collaboration. And end result is problem solving, which is what they will grow up into. And we do also, a lot of sustainable development goals. So like you, our goal last year was responsible consumption and production. So we started with a street store. We asked parents and our community, if they are not using anything at home, you can bring it to school. And we opened up a street store for our neighborhood community where they, they pick up anything of their choice without any questions. And
Wonderful.
entire thing was manned by our students and teacher.
That's
I think
awesome
this
to
is
hear.
one of the collaboration I could highlight on.
This is wonderful. Great to hear that, ma'am. Absolutely. I mean, yeah, we all can have a round of applause for this.
Thank you.
One of the very important things that came out in this discussion is the different kind of skill sets that we need. We're talking about problem solving, we're talking about being agile. I think one is important is thinking on the feet. So that brings us to the rapid fire round. And I'm going to ask one question to each one of you with two options. Both the options, there's nothing wrong or right about it, but you have to pick one and you have to tell us why. So I'm going to start with you, Mrs. Vidya ma'am. If you have to choose between students training or teachers training, you can't have both. And if you have to choose one, and I just want to remind you that your students are also watching you and your teachers are also watching you.
Very true, very true. I would choose teachers training. And probably that's what was my key point also to talk about today. To elaborate on this, why, I firmly believe that during this entire process of transformation with technology, one of the entities who have evolved, as I said earlier, is the teachers community, the teachers.
That's right.
And what has benefited them is now they are able to analyze their performance better, right? And first is identify. Probably they're able to identify the problem areas better. They're more equipped to analyze and then create an action plan for the students. So unless this happens, the next lineage, that's the end users, the students, how would they benefit?
Great.
So I firmly believe the teachers training is what I choose for.
Great. I think that's great to hear, ma'am. I'll move on to Mrs. Manjula, ma'am. If you had to choose between online or offline class, and there's no hybrid, we're just giving you a scenario, which one would you choose?
Definitely. Yeah. I'm audible?
You could use this mic.
So definitely I will go for offline.
Mm-hmm.
And the reason is that to understand something or to try to connect with something, maybe it is any subject or a human being, that interaction is very important. Face-to-face interaction and connection is very important. If we want to impart our knowledge, that first thing is that you have to understand the level of the child, where the child is. And that conversation is very important to explore them and about the topic also discussion. So it's always be better to offline one-to-one talk, so that will help both the facilitator as well as the learner. So
Great.
offline always be, I think in a school life it should be preferable, because it will give true knowledge and it can impart direct knowledge by understanding the need of which level the child is required. It is not compulsory that if a child is in grade 5, he is ready to grab the knowledge of grade 5. We have to see up to which level the previous knowledge is there, and that is only possible when we are interacting with a child. So very important to understand child is ready or not, and for that offline is very important.
Great.
Thank you.
Ma'am, actually, the end goal of a correct technology is the same, that they free up your bandwidth and you can have those connects. Great. Mr. Balu, my next question is towards you, and I have to ask you this question, especially in this forum. Who has it easier, men or women? We are all watching you. Who has it easier, men or women?
In which environment?
In general life.
It is obvious that men have it easier, but that is not the desired position. That is not the desired outcome for society. At home, it's the mother who creates the family. The mother is the first teacher. So if we have to extend that logic, we have to, because there's a simple reason behind this. Women are more empathetic. So they don't think only logically, but emotionally as well. And that balance is so crucial in the world at large. So if you want a caring organization, you want a nurturing organization, you want an empowering organization, you need to have the right balance. And that's the reason why diversity is such an important target for all corporates in the world. So I believe that that's how it should be. Thank you.
Great, that's great to hear, and I hope you were not under any pressure from the panelists.
Equity and equality.
Absolutely. My next question is to Shobna ma'am. Ma'am, if you had to choose between texting or talking, what would you choose? Texting or talking?
I think teachers are known for talking, so I would take that talking. It's always, you can talk with full emotions and full body. You can see the expression. I would go any day for talking than texting.
Sure, but I would just like to inform my viewers that every time I had to make an attempt to talk to ma'am, I had to first text, get an appointment, and then move to talking. But yeah, correctly said. And Usha ma'am, a normal question. If you had to choose between all work and all play, what would you choose?
I love to balance it, but you're asking me to choose one. So I'll say all play instead of saying all work. Because when you play, you learn as well. And we make play very, very enjoying and very fun thing, with a lot of materials as well as the environment. So what happens is their children, if it's in the context of she's asking me a general question, but I'm saying in the context of the education institution and the children, I'm saying the play comes first. And even given a choice to adults, I think we like to game. Whenever we are stressed out, we do gaming. And gamification can be a stress buster. It's like that. So I think that actually makes you work better and once you play. So I think play over work.
Awesome. I think that's a wonderful answer, and it's actually, you're saying it correct. You learn a lot more when you're playing in an unstructured environment. Great. With this, we come to an end to this talk show, and over here, I hope our viewers and our audience enjoyed it as much as we did putting it up for all of you. In short, what we've discussed today is that you need the right technology in the right dose to ensure that the learning journeys of your students are on track and they are future ready. Thank you so much for your time. Have a good evening.
Thank you so much.